Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of a predictions video on the channel. We're going to talk all things NASCAR Cup Series racing at Richmond today. Last minute fantasy, in-depth analysis, my pick to eventually win, and of course my predictions for who will run well and who will not. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we get into the rest of this video. Going to start things off with the must-haves this week. Usually we start with the drivers who I don't think will run well, but we're going to start off with the drivers who I do think will run well because there's some correlation between them, and that is the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas. I think that they are going to run very well today. I think this is going to be the best race collectively for the Joe Gibbs Racing team, and I think they will put out a show versus the rest of the field. Just based off of qualifying and practice times alone this weekend, it seems like there are some heavy hitters in the Toyota camp that I think could contend for the win today. As far as my must-have predictions, two Joe Gibbs Racing drivers you should absolutely have in your fantasy lineups today. First and foremost, it's going to be Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. comes in as probably the odds-on favorite, at least for Richmond Raceway standards go. He's won 3 of the last 5 races there, and he has 6 straight finishes that are in the top 5. First, fifth, second, first, and third in his last 6 races at Richmond. 7 top 5s and 9 top 10s in his last 11 starts at Richmond Raceway. He was 8th in practice yesterday and also qualified 6th, so he does have a fast car unloading this week on top of the good statistics. So put Martin Truex Jr. in your fantasy lineup today. You will not be disappointed. Bare minimum top 10 finish. And I think that's pretty much guaranteed for Truex today. Denny Hamlin's another driver who I have getting a top 10 finish. I think you should put him in your lineup. I know he doesn't have a top 10 run this season or a top 10 finish this season, but again, this is Toyota's probably best racetrack collectively, especially of the first 7 now that we will have gone to this season. Denny Hamlin, of course, has struggled this year. He's not sitting well in the point standings. He's outside the top 20 after the first 6 races. I just mentioned he doesn't have a top 10 finish. He does have a stage win, which came last week at COTA, so a little bit of an improvement there. Didn't get the finish that he really probably should have had, despite running in the top 10 most of the day. But as far as this week at Richmond, this is one of his better racetracks. We know Denny Hamlin to be a very good short track racer, and in his last 10 Richmond races, in his last 12 Richmond races, he has 10 finishes of 6th or better. That is pretty good. He's got 8 top 5s in the last 12 Richmond races as well. He led 404 laps combined in both races last season. He won both stages in both races last season. And not only that, he finished 2nd in both. So he didn't get the win, but he did have very good consistency. This was his best racetrack that we went to 2 times last year. And he does have 5 stage wins in the last 3 races as well, because if you go back to the one race they had here in 2020, in the pandemic year of the NASCAR Cup Series season, he won a stage there and also had a good finish to go along with it. Last 3 Richmond races total, he has led 449 laps. That's how many I had to do the math on the top of my head there. 449 laps led for Denny Hamlin in the last 3 races at Richmond combined. He has won here 3 times in his career, 2016, 2010, 2009, all in the fall races. And he wasn't that great in practice yesterday. He didn't qualify too well as well, outside the top 10 in both. So he's not going to be my pick to win this week. But I do think he will have a good run. I am guaranteeing at least that he will get his first top 10 finish of the season and start that upward climb and maybe actually break the top 20 in points at the end of the day. So Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., the absolute must-haves. My pick to win today's race, I think, would kind of be grouped in as another must-have. Kyle Busch is my pick to win in today's race. He has 8 straight top 10s at Richmond, more than any other active driver. He has 6 career wins at Richmond as well, including most recently sweeping the 2018 races here. Not only that, he has led 509 laps in the last 8 races combined at Richmond. That's absurd. 6.8 average finish at Richmond, also better than any other driver in the NASCAR Cup Series today, and was fastest in practice yesterday and he qualified third. He is the best Toyota driver based off the race car this weekend, put out in practice and qualifying yesterday. He's got the best statistics of any driver in the field at Richmond in his past. And I think that is going to vote well for Kyle Busch. I predict that Kyle Busch will be the 7th different winner in the first 7 races this year. But as far as that goes, what are maybe some lower tier drivers, or maybe mid-tier drivers, not lower tier, but mid-tier drivers that on a consistent basis you wouldn't think of maybe putting in your lineup most seasons or, most races, but these are the 2 drivers who I think will actually have good runs today, guaranteeing that they also get a top 10 finish. We're going to stick with the Toyota camp. I think Christopher Bell's going to get a top 10 today. He only has a couple of them this season. He's just coming off his best finish of his season last week at COTA, finished 3rd. That was his first top 5 of the year as well. Last year in both Richmond races, he finished 3rd and 4th, so 2 top 5s. He didn't lead many laps, but he was up towards the front most of the day and obviously ended up getting 2 top 5 finishes, which is where it matters the most, is at the end of the race. He was fast this week as well, just like Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch in practice and qualifying, top 10 in both, 4th in practice and 9th in qualifying yesterday. So Christopher Bell is a sleeper pick today. I think he gets a top 10. I would not be surprised if all 4 Joe Gibbs Toyotas get top 10s today. That is my prediction. And as far as another driver, maybe outside the Toyota camp to go with in your dark horse picks, Raj Chastain is the easy one here. He actually finished 7th in last year's fall Richmond race, the most recent time we were here, and that was with Chip Ganassi Racing. Trackhouse Racing has gone off to a booming start, but especially Raj Chastain in the #1 car. He's got 4 straight podium finishes. Of course, got his first career win last week at COTA, so with that monkey off his back, I think he can maybe... he's definitely been pressuring in. I do think the Toyotas are going to be the best manufacturer this week. They're going to be tough to beat, but I do say he keeps at least a top 10 streak alive and makes it 5 straight top 10s in a row. Now the drivers who I don't think are going to run well going into today's race. I have 2 drivers. One may shock you, and actually both may shock you. One of them is going to be a Toyota driver, and it's going to be Kurt Busch. Reason why he was not very fast yesterday in qualifying or practice. He was 15th in practice, but way worse in qualifying. Qualified 27th. That's pretty far back in the field. He has 7 straight finishes at Richmond outside the top 10. So this track has not really vogued well for Kurt Busch over the last couple of years. Well, the last 7 races, again, no top 10 finishes. He does have 3 finishes of 11th in that stretch. Everything from then on, though, the other 4 were 18th or worst. Of course, he DNF'd here in the fall race last season, which pretty much eliminated him from the round of 16 of the playoffs as well. So I think Kurt Busch is going to have a struggle today. I think you're going to see the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas do well, but maybe for 23-11, at least out of that 45 car in that 45 team, I don't think that they're going to get a top 10 today. And Kurt Busch has had a pretty much good stretch of races this year where he has not run well in pretty much every race, but he gets a good finish more often than not. But today, I think he's not going to run well, and he's not going to get the good finish. Alex Bowman is actually another driver I have on the don't-haves list. Do not put Bowman or Busch in your lineup. You guys might be thinking, well, but Keegan, Alex Bowman won here last season in the spring race. Why would you not have him this year? He also has a win this season and almost won at COTA last year. Well, I think a lot of it goes off of the way that car has looked based off practice and qualifying today. Way off of his other 300 Motorsport teammates. Byron was in the top 5 in practice and qualifying. Even Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson weren't great in practice qualifying yesterday, but they were still top 20. Alex Bowman was 28th in qualifying and 26th in practice yesterday. And outside of that win last year at Richmond, he's only finished in the top 10 one other time, and that was a 9th place finish in 2019. He's only led 11 laps at Richmond in his last 7 starts, so I'm not going to include those starts he had with BK Racing in the past, but he does have 7 starts with Hendrick Motorsports at Richmond. In all 7 of those, he's only got 2 top 10 finishes. He won last year's race. He kind of snuck in there late. He did have a fast car in the spring race last year. Don't get me wrong, he deserved that win. But at the same time, that was it. I mean, that was pretty much out of nowhere considering Alex Bowman's success at Richmond in his career. So I don't have Alex Bowman very high on my radar this week. I actually had him in my fantasy team before until I looked at the stats and then obviously how he was in practice and qualifying yesterday based off of times. I would not put Alex Bowman in your lineup. That team is struggling this weekend out of pretty much nowhere. Again, they had a strong car last week, almost won at COTA. Had a top 3 car, I think, and ended up finishing 2nd, of course. He has a win this year, but it was at Vegas. At Phoenix on the other short track race we've had, which is probably the most similar racetrack to Richmond, he didn't run too well there either. So maybe a correlation between the two. I would not have Alex Bowman in your lineup today. And that is all of the fantasy analysis for today's race. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as mentioned at the beginning of the video. What are your predictions? Comment down below in the chat. And post-race analysis video will be out tomorrow on the channel. Not doing the live commentary today, of course. I'll be going to my grandparents' house to watch the race with my grandpa. And not only that, but we will have live commentary for the races next weekend, so we'll go back to the live stream with the predictions video because we will be live streaming not only the Cup race next week, but the Xfinity race on Friday and Saturday nights as well for the night racing at Martinsville next weekend. So making it up to you guys. We're not doing the live commentary today. We'll have 2 live commentaries for real races next weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.